Sometimes comics can be very paint by numbers. They follow the same road and you can kind of figure out where everything is going to go, but every now and again they will blow your mind with some plot twists that shake everything up. Hello again, Top 10 Nerd family, I'm your host REINOR and welcome back to Top 10 Nerd. Today we're going to be exploring the surprises that were so shocking, even Batman sitting in the Mobius chair didn't see them coming, with our list of top 10 DC comic moments you never saw coming. As always, we would love it if you could like, comment, subscribe, and hit the little notification bell, and stick around for the whole video because I'm going to be answering some comments from my previous video, Top 10 Homelander Facts You Need to Know for The Boys Season 2. Alright, coming in at number 10 we have Kyle Rayner gets the cold shoulder. If a villain can't take down a hero, usually the first thing they go for are their loved ones. I mean, they usually are way weaker than the hero, and it's one of the only ways you can hurt them emotionally. And an emotionally unstable hero is easier to take down than someone who is clear-headed and focused. And Kyle Rayner would learn this the hard way. After flying around in space, saving the universe from all the strangest things in the galaxy, you think he would be ready to see it all. I mean, what on earth could be more shocking than meeting a race of aliens hell-bent on destroying the universe? Well, how about finding your girlfriend stuffed in a fridge? That's right, one of the greatest Green Lanterns would come home to find his girlfriend murdered and compacted right next to the condiments. That is definitely going to make it hard to love again. Coming in at number 9 we have Batgirl's got some bad manners. Swearing in comics is nothing new, but for a lot of the most popular DC characters you will never see this pop up on the page because the comics need to be sold to a wide range of readers. Which is kind of strange because you can totally have people getting their heads smashed in until they're unconscious, but no curse words. Well, in one of the issues of All-Star Batman and Robin the Boy Wonder, Batgirl screams out, "Sell your poison someplace else, this arcade belongs to the effing Batgirl." Now this shouldn't have been a big deal as the people at DC blacked out the lettering so you couldn't see what Batgirl was saying, but you could put the pieces together in your head. That's not the shocking part. The shocking part is that the blacking out of the lettering on many of the issues wasn't dark enough and most of the readers could make out what she was saying. So this was a huge screw up for DC and they had to recall a ton of the comics and put new versions on the shelves that had the swear words completely blacked out. Coming in at number 8 we have Starfire gets too sexy. Now it's no surprise for female characters to be over-sexualized in comic books, but for this particular example it was so blatant that Starfire fans were up in arms about this. I first got introduced to Starfire in Teen Titans, and she seemed to be like a clueless alien girl who had some pretty intense powers. In the comics she was a pretty interesting character, well, until they spruced her up for the New 52. And by spruced her up I mean they gave her some massive boobs and basically made her the horniest character in the Justice League. The center point of the new character was all about sexy, and it seemed that she was walking around trying to hook up with every last attractive person with a pulse. Since then the character has been reworked to embrace her sexual side with a little bit more taste by having her come from a homeworld where monogamy isn't a thing. That sounds like a great place. But when the character first changed people were feeling a little fiery. Coming in at number 7 we have WEINER Tentacles. Staying in the realm of the New 52, we're going to talk about the Swamp Thing, one of the quietly most powerful characters in the DC universe. And every time I see one of the covers from this comic I get the feeling that I'm looking at a poster from a 1950s monster movie, in a good way. And the cover of issue 11 was no different. You have Swamp Thing carrying his loved one through a barrage of tentacles that seem to be attacking her. The only problem is the tentacles looked a little bit like wieners. A lot of fans started commenting about how the tube-like appendages looked a lot like those things that dangle between a dude's thighs, and it didn't help that these tentacles were a peach color, so they very much looked like a skin tone. This was so much of a problem that the comics had to be recalled and the artwork reworked. This was one of the funniest mistakes I have ever heard of. Coming in at number 6 we have Who Actually Created Batman. If you go back through Batman's history, you usually find that a lot of people always say Bob Kane was the person who made Batman, that it was all his idea and he was the only dude who came up with all the amazing features that we know and love as the Dark Knight. Well, that's actually not true at all. Bob was the artist who created the look of Batman, which is arguably the least important part of the character. Yeah, he did make the dude look super cool, but Bill Finger was was the mind behind making most of the important pieces of Batman, like the Batmobile, the different gadgets, Robin, and even the Joker. And who would Batman be without the Joker? And the writer is technically the one who came up with the idea of the character, not to discredit the artist, but we understand the difference. Well, why is it that everyone remembers Bob Kane as the guy who created Batman? Well, because he forced the people at DC to sign a contract that said he was the sole creator of Batman. So going back to the history, it's revealed that this dude was kind of a Coming at number 5, we have Jason Todd's death. If something like this happened today, it would for sure play out the same way because we know how the internet works, but I love this story because it just goes to show you how trolls have existed forever. When Jason Todd was brought into the fray as the new Robin, there came a time where he was kidnapped by the Joker, and DC Comics brought it to the fans to determine his fate. They would ask the public to vote on whether or not this child would die, and the fans voted yes. Wait, what? Yeah, dude, this is what happened. When you ask the public their opinion on something that doesn't really matter, they usually choose something like this. Like when that research vessel got named Bodie McBoatface. Well, I think the shocking part is that DC stuck true to the fans' vote and they killed off Jason Todd, who would later come back as the much cooler Red Hood. Coming in at number 4, we have Joker wears his own face. You have to give it up to the writers over at DC. The Joker has been in their stable of characters since the beginning, and they find ways to keep making him crazier. Like the time he had the doll maker cut off his own face and then he vanished for a year. Then he would reemerge by breaking into Gotham PD and stealing his face back and hooking it back on with some staples, clips, and bungee cords. Talk about making an entrance. You disappear for over a year, then you come back to Gotham, kill a bunch of cops, and staple your own face back on. Bravo. Coming in at number 3, we have Sue Dibney and Dr. Light. Comics will stretch into graphic content quite often when it comes to combat and death, but there have been a few occasions where they've taken dark storylines even further. There was the case of Elongated Man's wife Sue Dibney and her encounter with Dr. Light. No one remembered this because their minds had been erased through the means of magic, but eventually it all came to the surface that Dr. Light had violated Elongated Man's wife, Sue Dibney. The reason that everyone finds out about this is because Sue Dibney was actually murdered, and the investigation of her murder is what revealed all these horrible acts. Coming in at number 2, we have Rorschach Goes Boom. The Watchmen still stands as one of the greatest comic book stories ever told. The social commentary on the Cold War timeline that is completely changed by the fact that an all-knowing super being is living in America, and you have a mystery that keeps everyone's head spinning until the last minute. Well, this all builds up when eventually the truth is out that Ozymandias orchestrated an attack on American soil to kill thousands of people and made it look like it was Dr. Manhattan. This way the human race would have a common enemy, and this would prevent nuclear war between America and the Soviets. The idea behind this is killing thousands would save billions. Well, Rorschach is one of the only characters in the book that has a solid moral compass, and he refuses to let the unjust go unpunished and sets out to tell the truth. But Dr. Manhattan sides with Ozymandias, seeing his plan as salvation, and in order to keep it in motion, he obliterates Rorschach into little pieces. And coming in at the number 1 spot, we have Barbara Gordon getting shot. To this day, this is one of the most controversial moments in comics. You have Barbara Gordon just chilling in her house. There's a knock at the door. She's like, oh, who could that be? She answers the door, and before she can say why is the Joker dressed like Jason Segel and forgetting Sarah Marshall, she's getting shot. The bullet would go into her spine, putting her in a wheelchair because she lost the use of her legs and could no longer go out into the field as Batgirl. This created an interesting new element to her character when she became the Oracle, but her getting shot wasn't even the most graphic part of this encounter with the Clown Prince of Crime. He then assaults Barbara, takes explicit photos of her, and puts them into a horrifying funhouse which he subjects her father to try and make him go insane. Yeah, I think it's safe to say that that was extremely shocking and none of us saw that coming. Alright guys, that has been the list. Now I'm going to answer some comments from our previous video. Ill Angel 101 commented, he's better than everyone physically but not mentally. Mentally, he's a toddler. Yes, this is very true. I guess the point I was trying to get across is that it's probably very hard for him to have respect for things that he could kill with a fart. Homelander listening to humans is like us taking orders from ants. COD46 commented, "Che, can you blame him? He's literally better than anyone. Black Noir. Am I a joke to you?" True, Black Noir is insanely powerful, and I'm sure he's going to get his time in the sun very soon. The TV show is such a departure from the comics that I have no idea where they will go in the future, but I'm sure we'll get to see how strong Black Noir is. And Michael Brent commented, "The Sentry, Hercules, Captain Planet, Hyperion, Gladiator, and Majestic are my favorite Superman characters." These are all good picks. I think I would go with Adam Warlock as my favorite, but there are so many Superman clothes out there because Superman is one of the first superheroes ever. So it would be no surprise that the ripples of this character have rocked their way all the way through nearly every version of comics. Alright everyone, that has been our list. Thank you all so much for tuning in. As always, I'd love it if you could like, comment, subscribe, and hit the little notification bell. Until next time, I have been your host, Jay DiReina, and keep enjoying this nerdy content.